Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric with American Business Systems. Want to welcome you here to a fantastic webinar that we have ahead of you today. I can't wait to get this interview started. Folks, you know as well as I do, when we have our interviews with current business owners, they are fantastic. So we've got a great crowd that's already here. There were so many people lined up. I wanted to go ahead and get started before the top of the hour. So here we are at the top of the hour, and they are just rolling in. There is a bunch of people here. So LaKishia, I hope that you're ready and prepared, and I'll bring you on here in just a minute. But folks, thank you for joining us this afternoon. If this is your first time, again, my name's Eric Jawdjee. I'll be your one of the hosts this afternoon, along with Adam Phillips here in just a moment. But you have shown up at the right place. We're going to do an interview with one of our medical billing business owners, LaKishia. And we look forward to hearing a little bit about her, when she got started, obviously when she got her first client. We're going to go through all those questions. So as you well know, we've got a Q&A box over here, as I'll show you on this slide here. That is where you're going to type in all of your questions. Now, if you don't mind, for us, if you don't mind typing in just the location where you're calling in from today, that would be so nicely received. We would appreciate it. But also, this is going to be the place where you'll type in your questions throughout the webinar this afternoon. And we will try to do our best because there's going to be a lot of people on here. There's already a ton of people on here already. So you can imagine if everybody's asking 2 or 3 questions, it'll take us over 2 or 3 hours to try to get through everything. So, but let's make sure that if you got a specific question about a topic that we're on, feel free to type those in there. Adam and I will be monitoring those questions as we kind of go through, just so that we hopefully do our best to get all of that done. Again, my name is Eric Jawdjee. I am so glad to be with you this afternoon. Again, make sure, remember where to type in your Q&A. My co-host this afternoon is Adam Phillips. Adam is our CEO of American Business Systems. Not only is the CEO, but he's also the founder of an organization called MIRMA. MIRMA is the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. He founded that back a few years back. This is the organization of which you will be a part of once you become a business owner here with American Business Systems. And once you've completed your training here online with us and as a live online class, you will receive your certification as a certified medical revenue manager from the organization of MIRMA. If you want to go check them out, you can. They're mrmaa.org. You can find that right there. Listen, I'm not going to waste any more time because I know that we've got a ton of people on here. I'm going to ask Adam to join me. Adam, good afternoon. I'm glad you were here to join us this afternoon.
Oh, hey, thanks, Eric. I was furiously typing hello to everyone who typed in there.
Yeah, there is a lot of people on here. We've got people from Texas, from Missouri to Chicago, all over the country here this afternoon. So thanks everybody for joining us. Adam, it's good to see you. Welcome to the end of March, if you can believe it. We've already completed a quarter of the year, but what a way to end it with an interview. Why don't you go ahead and introduce our business owner here this afternoon?
Sure. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. LaKishia has been with us for a couple of years now. She finished her training a few years back, and we'll get into the details. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring her on. She's got her little profile picture there, and here she is in real life.
Hello.
Hey, there she is.
Hi, y'all. Hi, Eric. Hi, Adam.
Yeah, thank
Good
you.
afternoon.
I know you're a busy lady, so thanks for taking the time to chat with us for about 45 minutes to an hour here. This is really cool because whenever we do interviews with folks, we invite all of our people that are kind of exploring the business who have not joined ABS, but we also invite existing ABS business owners. So we had a ton of people sign up for this. And as we're going here, guys, just type in the Q&A box questions if you'd like to learn about LaKishia and her business, and we'll get to those questions as we go. And we've actually already got some questions coming in here, so that's great. We'll get to those here momentarily. So why don't we just start out by you just kind of telling people what was your work background, your work experience, what were you doing before you got into this, and how did you kind of get into medical billing and that whole thing? You want to start there?
Sure. So I'm a registered nurse by trade. and been a registered nurse for going for over 20 years. Let's just say that. And so I decided to start my business, probably like a lot of business owners back in 2020 after the pandemic. I was getting a little nudge that it was kind of time to step out on my own. And I was a leader as a registered nurse in the home health field and regional manager, director roles. So revenue cycle management is something that has always been part of my role. So that's kind of why I looked into this as one of the business opportunities that I was interested in at the beginning.
Right. Now, some people might be thinking, oh, registered nurse, I mean, this is a no-brainer for her getting clients and stuff. What do you say to that comment?
Oh, I wish. I wish. I wish. I'm sure you'll ask me about my first client, but I tell people all the time when individuals call me who might be interested in the business, doing their due diligence. At the end of the day, even if you're a physician, it's still quote a hustle. Like you're entrepreneur, and you have to do the basics and get out there and be known and make sure your face is shown and etc. I did get my first patient, my first client because of the role that I had previously. But after that, it was really just me networking, thinking outside the box, etc., etc.
Well, let's talk about that first client. So let's kind of do a timeline here. So
Okay.
if you can remember, when did you go through our training? And you did the online training, right? And when was that? Do you remember?
Yep. It was around July, August of 2021.
Okay.
Wow.
And so that took you maybe 3 weeks or so to finish those modules. Yeah.
Yes.
And then you became certified through us.
Mm-hmm.
And were you able to jump in full time, or did you have your other full-time job and you kind of had to do it part-time in the beginning?
Mm-hmm. So for me, I actually did not begin my business until I would probably say January of 2022. My goal was to leave my full-time job. I was a regional manager. It was very time consuming. And for me, it just wasn't an option. Knowing if you know me, I'm very involved in my what I do. So I chose to walk away. So I waited until I ended my job, and I pursued my business full time in January of 2022.
That's awesome.
Okay, so it took you a little while to jump in full time.
But that was the plan. So
Yeah.
the plan was always to begin the business in 2022 in January once I walked away from my full-time job.
So how did that first client come about? You said it was somebody that you already knew and you're related to your employment or something. How'd that come?
Yes. Yeah. So I was a director at a assisted living facility and worked with the doctor closely. I was basically responsible for building the relationship he has with that facility. And I pitched him with one of the products, which was Quick Collect. And they happen to have quite a bit of aging outstanding. And he came on board, and I was able to work directly with Quick Collect and the practice to recover funds from, I think we went up to 2 years out.
Wow.
Yeah, we kept that client for a couple of years.
Interesting. So you kind of got your foot in the door with one of our ancillary services.
Yes.
It wasn't billing. Did it evolve into eventually the doctor wanting you to do the billing as well? Or
Yeah, I couldn't get him to switch over to billing. There was some transition in his office, and it really made it difficult. So no, I was unable to transition him to a billing client, but it was a good relationship, and he stayed on as a client for at least a couple of years. And I pitched him. I did try, but I think ultimately it just wasn't a good fit because the practitioners were going inside a ALF, and we received a lot of pushback from the providers that the software, because we use the
You're
software.
saying like he was part of a group that the billing was
Yes.
already taken care of or something?
Yes, yes, taken care of. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, so then let's talk about your first billing client. Let's see, did we answer the question of how long it took to get that first client after you finished training?
It was so I officially started in January 22, and it took about 3 months to get them signed on.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and Adam, this might be a good time to interject Melee's question there, because it's being asked, do you feel like your nursing background helped you get your doctor signed up, or did you leverage your existing relationships?
Yeah,
Yes and yes.
exactly what she did.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly
For
what I
that
did.
first
Yeah.
client. Yeah. So she
hmm
leveraged her relationship with her doctor through the home health company that she was working for.
hmm
And it wasn't a billing client, it was a collections client. We have a
hmm
product called Quick Collect, which is
Yes.
collections on old AR, outstanding receivables. And so, yeah, so we just, yeah, so we covered that. And he was asking how many customers you got in 3 months. So the first 3 months, she said it took her 3 months to get that first Quick Collect client.
hmm
So now, what I wanted to get into was like, okay, so now you're like, all right, I tapped into people that I knew to get, the Quick Collect client. As far as I guess, what were your steps to market after that first client? You said you were doing networking and stuff. So
Okay. Yes.
give us some details on your marketing methods that you focused
Mhm.
on after that.
Sure. So I did a few things. I did mailers with the letter, who I am, the services we offer. So I did probably about 400 to 500 mail outs every 3 months.
Now let me
Uh,
stop you there. What kind of list did you get? Like, how did you know who to send to?
mhm,
Did you do any
mhm.
research or?
Yes, so I actually went on to Fiverr and I got a list of clients. Oh, that was my first. I just remember another client that I had. Okay, so yes, I went online to Fiverr and I got a list of companies within, I think it was a radius, and I gave them parameters like a home health, solo practitioner, gave them certain parameters. So they just emailed me lists. And so from that list, that's when I did the mailers
Oh, good.
every quarter. And I just followed up, like this is my second follow up, and referencing the first mailer, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so you did the big mail out, and then you were
Mhm.
also doing networking.
Yes, I did. If anyone's familiar with BNI,
Mhm.
I did BNI as well. That's how I got my second client, BNI and Chamber of Commerce for my local area. And just doing a networking event, I think it was a breakfast. Someone approached me about billing and also credentialing. So that's how I got my first billing client during a networking.
Okay, so you were going physically to networking. You weren't doing just virtual networking.
Oh yeah, physically at that time.
Now,
Yep.
did you have a set goal of like, I'm going to do this once a week, twice a week, or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yes, I did have a goal just based on, my experience as a professional of, okay, I'm going to at least attend at least 3 marketing events a week
Mhm.
around the city. Even if it's like breakfast or a meetup, that was my goal.
Okay.
And Adam, we talk about that often whenever we do our marketing topics on our webinars on Wednesdays, because everybody wants to know how to get their first client. And I'm so glad to hear that LaKishia is talking about basically the same things that we talk about on the webinars. So
Mhm.
you learned not only all of that from on your training that you had with our.
Yes.
Yes, and so you just implement it, and I love it because I've been talking to a lot of our people that have been online with us as, look, you got to treat yourself as an executive. Executives
hmm
go out and make known, and I think instead of thinking of yourself as a sales rep or you're trying to sell your business, if you think of yourself more of, hey, this is my business, I'm the CEO of my business,
Yeah,
nobody else is going to tell the business story like I tell it. I think you
exactly.
did a great job. So congratulations
hmm
on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
Salim is asking, what would you recommend as marketing for someone who's just starting out? And I think we just kind of touched on that. Our recommendations are really focusing on networking, like LaKishia said. And sometimes for some people it has to be virtual because of their schedules. But
hmm
if you are able to physically go to networking events, an early morning breakfast or a luncheon or things in the evenings,
hmm
weekends, it can work around a busy schedule
Yeah,
if you really,
absolutely.
wanted to. But it was important also to point out with the mailers. I mean, there's a
Mhm.
lot of people mailing out stuff. And there's a lot of people doing what we call direct contact, where they're just walking into offices. What
Yes.
the problem with those methods is if you're not doing any detective work, if you're not doing any research on the people that you're mailing to and the offices that you're walking into, and you don't know anything about them or what their needs might be, that's a huge problem. So for you to say that you did some research and really tried to figure out who do I really want to target, and who do I want to send to, and what do I want to send them, and how do I package it properly to get them to want to open it and look at it. I mean, all that stuff is very important. So Angel's asking, what does the $30,000 cover? We can touch on that after we interview LaKishia, but basically that is the one-time investment for the entire business. The ABS business package is $30,000. That does have to be paid up front. That covers all the training that we just mentioned, all the ongoing support. You get support for life for free with that. You get access to our private support site and hundreds of marketing materials that we give you as well.
And the mailers too, just to make mention, I used the material that was included with my business opportunity. So, I didn't have to go out and create new material. I used the material that that was provided, which was great,
Good. Yeah, I mean, we spent a lot of money on that stuff. It's on really good quality paper and
yes, it is
professionally designed and
yes.
all that stuff. I mean, you could spend so much money trying to create that stuff on your own, or it ends up looking crummy, if you don't spend a lot of money on it. You see anything you want to ask there, Eric?
Well, I was just going to follow up with Salim. I was looking through some of the questions there, and he was just doing a follow-up question on, was that just networking groups that you were meeting with that were just medical specific, or was it like everybody out there, different business owners that might be doing business with doctors?
That's a good question. So I did BNI, and no, my BNI in this area does not have a lot of medical professionals.
Okay.
I also did Chamber of Commerce, as well as I created my own networking group. I forgot to mention
for
that.
you.
I did. So it was myself and two other ladies, and we basically created a networking group of people who look like us. So it was Black female entrepreneurs, and we business owners. So it was all word of mouth, and that became a pretty big deal. So we got anywhere from 20 to 40 individuals coming out to our monthly meetings. It was good. Now, my first two clients, my biggest two clients, I got from that group, and it wasn't a big money lift. We split it. We maybe had a little lunch. We spent maybe $30, maybe $60. But it was very helpful, especially building connection and purpose between these women.
My goodness. Wow. So the model was kind of similar to a BNI type
Oh,
thing?
absolutely. That's what
you had women from all different industries coming
all different industries.
Oh, wow.
We had a speaker, we had an educational component, icebreaker. Same idea, same flow as far as networking meeting.
I love that.
Is that still going? Is that ongoing still, or?
No, we got busy.
I was gonna say that sounds like a hard thing to keep up.
No, we all got busy, and so we haven't had a meeting. Maybe third quarter 2024 was our last meeting.
Wow.
Not that we probably will go back to it. We just can't have it as often as we did before because we're all busy now. Thank goodness.
Wow.
Adam, I'm going to answer Angel's question here and interject what kind of background is needed to be successful. LaKishia, I'm going to ask you answer that question. What kind of background is needed to be successful?
Do people need to have a healthcare background in this? I mean, is it
right?
Is it? I mean, honestly, what's your opinion? I mean, is it helpful? Do they need to be a biller or a coder? I mean,
So from what I've seen, especially with ABS, it's like they give you a system. So you don't have to necessarily know, hence the name, that wasn't intended though, but you don't have to actually know billing. They give you a system to market, right? And then they give you all these tools to utilize in this journey. So was it beneficial? Absolutely. I have a home health client. I'm a home health nurse, you know, and I definitely leveraged the fact that I was a registered nurse, but you can do that with any industry. If I was an engineer, I would have done the same. If I worked in an office, a medical office, I would have said, you know, 20 years of medical office experience. So I would leverage whatever background you have and put it and exhibit it in a manner that would be a marketing perk for yourself.
Yeah.
So if that makes sense.
That's a good point. I mean, there's a lot of different skills in other industries that could translate well.
Absolutely.
We've had a lot of people in the like accounting world, CPA, financial planners, people that are, you know, of a background where they're good with numbers, and, you know, maybe some of these guys already have doctor contacts with their existing business. So a lot of different things make sense. But we also have people from all different walks of life. Stay-at-home moms have been successful at this. You know, blue collar workers have been successful at this with some other, you know, they were a welder before, but now they just followed our steps and they're, you know, now they're doing medical billing, which seems kind of crazy. But,
you know, it's people who want to be owners of their own destiny.
Yes.
And that's really what it takes. And if you've got that drive, and everybody that we interview, Adam, that's what we hear. We just gave them the vehicle, as Patrick used to say. ABS is just the vehicle, but you got to drive it. And if you've got the drive, you can take that vehicle wherever you want to go.
Yeah. And as long as they do exactly as we teach, that's what I hear a lot, is like, when I finally started doing the marketing like you guys taught me, it started to work. And I'm like,
yes,
imagine that. Going back real quickly to the mailer thing, Sherry was asking what company helped with the mailers. Do you remember who that was?
So if you're familiar with Fiverr, Fiverr is like an online website, and it is independent contractors all around the world, and you choose one. And I literally just chose one, looked at the reviews, and it was an easy process.
They just did all the work for you and mailed it.
And just sent me the list. And I think it maybe cost maybe $100 or $50, something like that. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we answered that. Malay was asking kind of the same question. What platform did you use? Fiverr. And he was wondering about the list. Where did you say you figured out how to do your list, or where did you get your list of who you're?
Fiverr.
Oh, that was also Fiverr.
So Fiverr, and just with the BNI contacts, individuals people have referred, I just kept an ongoing list and added it to that list.
I see. You had a self-built list, and you added with a Fiverr provided list.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah. Somebody was asking, Christine was asking if you got any clients or any response from the mailers, like you did with BNI. Do you know?
That's a good question. So like you stated, it's really hard to build a relationship via mail. I did maybe get 2 or 3 calls out of maybe 200 mailers, but they did not translate into an actual client. So I quickly pivoted to more of a networking, and that's when we came up with the networking group.
Yeah, I mean, direct mail is one of the toughest ones. Direct mail and cold calling, that's one of the toughest.
Yeah.
You really have to send out a ton of stuff to get a yes, you know. So
I'd like to interject about and kind of tag on the backside of that, something she said, is because this is a relationship type business. Doctors want to know who they're doing business with. So being out there in the front, like she has done, and kind of getting to be known out there in her community, helped her to build that presentation of herself, where she became trusted within the community. And that's why doctors, you'll hear us talk about that so often, that doctors, I mean, you're dealing with their livelihood, and trying to get a client just by a mailer, you may not be able to get. But if you build your relationships out there in the community, you're going to the different chamber of commerces and other networking where other people know of doctors and they can refer them to you. That's what you want.
And they're seeing your face consistently.
That's right. Absolutely.
Very true.
That's why we do these webinars every Wednesday.
We're
in front of everybody every week.
Yeah, that's good.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, someone was asking, what is BNI? It's Business Networking International. It's a networking group that's been around for probably 40, 50 years. And they have chapters all over the United States. So you can look them up online, type in your zip code, and you can find local chapters. You can go visit. I think they let you visit maybe once or twice for free as a guest, and then you
Yes.
do have to join. I don't know what their fees are, maybe $400 or $500 a year or something now, maybe,
Yeah, that
maybe a
sounds
lot
about it.
higher. I don't know.
Yeah, it was about that much. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's gone up since I was involved in that. So, but you also don't want to stumble over the pennies to get to the dollars. You know, I mean, you got to think about the potential that's going to these meetings.
Yeah.
And like you
Yeah.
said, not necessarily, you know, you don't necessarily go to those events looking for doctors. You look for people who know doctors, and you want to build relationships with those folks so they you know, eventually the idea is that they refer you to people that they know. So that's really idea there.
Just to kind of piggyback, when I decided to join BNI, was not getting clients as my number one goal. My number one goal is to learn how to pitch my business confidently. So being able to go to those meetings week after week, practice my pitch. So when I am in front of or present a potential client, I'm able to do that confidently. So that was really my biggest benefit of those networking groups. Yes.
Yeah, right. Bill says it's $5.99 plus monthly dues.
Oh, wow.
There you
Yeah.
go. I don't
I
know
don't
if
think I paid that much, but wow.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's nationwide. It probably is, but you know.
It varies, I'm sure.
But if you know
Uh,
you get one client out of it that's paying you, you know, $2,000 a month,
There you go.
that's worth it.
you
Yeah.
bet.
So okay, so let's get into a little bit more detail about your client. So
Mhm.
you got your second client through the group that you created, the networking group that you
Yes.
started. Your next two clients, you said. So did
Mhm.
that take a couple months later after the first client, or do you remember kind of the timeline roughly there?
Yeah, it was probably yeah, about 3 or 4 months after the first client. Had a second client. Yep. And when I had the second client, I actually was able to sign my third. And
Mm.
it did come from my networking group, but I did something a little different. So, and I've done this with a few clients, is that I offer my services for free for 1 month.
What
1 month. But let me
what's the
tell you the thought
what's the
process.
catch, LaKishia?
I know. They trust me, right? And so if you can imagine, you don't know someone, you're trying to build a relationship, it does two things. Number one, I don't have a marketing budget. Not that I couldn't, I just don't. But I use that as my marketing budget. And so I would pitch them, let me just do your billing for a month. And it gave me an opportunity to actually look at what's going on in the clinic, because it's really hard with the practice, even with the practice analysis, to kind of remove the veil to understand what's
Mm.
really going on
Yeah.
in the billing until
Yeah.
you get in there and you're actually able to see reports. So it really gave me the ability to kind of see what was going on behind the veil. And then from there, I was able to coach them. And then I'll just type them up a nice little letter saying, this is what I found. And this was a benefit. And sometimes it's not services, it's just, hey, let me just do an analysis of your practice, right?
Right.
Where they give me access to their reports, and I just put it in an organized format and then send it to them. But each time that I've done that, I've always been able to retain the client, and to this day, they're still clients. So for me, that was something that worked.
Wow. So are you having them sign any kind of contract at all up
Oh,
front?
absolutely. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you do your operation contract. You still do a statement of work, and it's basically title a proposal, and you're giving that 1 month free. And for me, we could decide to terminate services myself or the practice after 30 days. So if it doesn't work out, we just terminate services after 30 days.
So it
Yeah.
already has your fee in there where it says, okay, after this first month, it's gonna be, so
Yes.
what are you charging roughly for your clients? Is it kind of all over the
Yes.
place or?
So no, so for me, if it's a practice, it's 8%. And then if I really enjoy working with newer practice owners, so if they're building their practice, I always do a floor of either 350 or 500, depending on how big the practice. So it's generally about 500 per provider.
I'm
If
sorry,
it
was that a
will,
setup fee you said? What did you say?
a setup fee
Uh,
of $500 per provider.
Okay,
It's
that's
paid
very,
at the point we sign the contract.
that's very
Sure.
reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
Some people might be sitting here going 8%. Like,
Mhm.
how are you getting such a high? I mean, because our owners are typically in the range of maybe 5 to 9%. That's the
Oh,
range
really?
based on a lot of different factors. So 8 is awesome.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing is you're knocking it out of the park with building trust with them by saying,
I
I'm
am.
going to get in there and I'm going to take a look at everything and I'm going to make
Yes.
recommendations. And
Yes.
you guys can do these on your own. If I make these recommendations, you can
Yes.
try to do it on your own if you want to, but
Yes.
you and I both know you're not going to be able to do it. So let me do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me do it. Yeah.
That's
You're
that's
exactly
all
right.
it takes to get what you're worth, what you know that you're worth, is to prove your worth, to prove.
Yes. Yes.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
Good job. Good job.
Thanks.
Okay, so second client, third client, you got that through your networking group. Let's talk about what types of clients are they? So you have different specialties that you're working with. We talked a little bit about that before the webinar, so you want to just share what that is?
Yes. So I have a behavioral health.
Mhm.
I have a behavioral health provider, and that office has 5 providers. I have a chiropractic service, and that's 1 provider, as well as a primary care behavioral health who's a nurse practitioner, and that's a solo provider as well. And
Mhm.
then my biggest client, and I know this is not part of the ABS system, but it's a home health client. So
Mhm.
I do come from a home health background. I'm a registered nurse in that field and was familiar with billing. So I was able to obtain a home health client, which is very lucrative. I think that client probably is billing 180,000 a month.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
was
going
a
to be
good
my
client.
next question is, do you have a rough idea of kind of monthly dollar volume for your clients? I mean, I don't expect you to know all those numbers off the top of your head, but
Yes, between just now, not I have a portion of my business is credentialing, but for the medical billing clients, roughly anywhere between maybe 5 to 8 a month, depending on the cash flow. And that is not including the credentialing side.
5 to 8, what? I'm sorry.
Oh, 5 to 8,000 a
5
month.
to 8,000
a month.
is, that's what I was talking about, like the practice volume, like their claim dollar volume. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, so for the home health, it's probably about 180,000.
Right.
Now that percentage is not 8%. Home health is a little lower than that.
Okay.
And then the practitioner side is about 30 to 35,000.
Okay, gotcha. So several different specialties, various dollar volumes, and you said they're mostly at around 8%, except for the home health is a little bit.
Yep. Home health is around market wise anywhere from 2 to 4%, and it can go up to 5.
Okay.
So I'm at about 4%.
Okay. Well, now let's talk about the work. Who's doing the work? Who has time to do it? Do you have staff at all? You're doing everything yourself? How's that work?
So I have a part-time employee that averages about 20 to 30. She primarily assists with credentialing, because there's a lot of calls with credentialing, a lot of follow-up with credentialing. So the billing portion I'm doing myself, and I feel comfortable handling. I probably have room for about 2 or 3 more billing clients.
Wow.
So yeah, so I feel comfortable. And so for me, my work day, if you're asking, is between 9 a.m. 2 to 3. I'm working Monday through Thursday. Friday is a short day for me, and I generally don't work on the weekends other than catch up items.
Good for you. So you're taking half a day on Friday just because that's what you want to do.
Yeah,
What owners do.
you gotta run errands. It's much better to do it when no one's out in the stores.
Absolutely. I'm surprised you're doing all the billing. That blows my mind. I would have thought you would need
Really?
2 or 3 people to help you. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Once you have a process, I mean, it's easy to do.
Well,
It's easier to
that's
do.
what I was going to ask you is, I know that you were a nurse, but did you have coding background, or did you learn the codes just from from what we taught you here and how to get them from the software?
Yes, I do have basic coding understanding. I'm definitely not coding certified.
Yep.
I'm not a coder, but yes, I'm familiar with codes and how to search for codes. Yes. I don't enjoy it, but yeah, I know.
But once you kind of get into a rhythm, your doctors that you're doing billing for, they're billing the
Yes.
same thing over and over again. It's not that
Yeah,
you're having to research the codes for them.
very much so. Like
Yeah.
once you know what your doctor is billing, it's the same CPT codes, it's the same diagnosis codes. It's not a lot of like going back and forth. It's pretty redundant, you know.
Yeah.
I really would say the bulk of my time is dealing with payers and denials. That's probably the bulk of my time on the phone. But you know, once you have a process, it's pretty easy, especially with the software and the software we use with ABS, which I haven't been able to use yet, but it's something I've pitched at least a couple of times.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because someone just asked a question. Woodlean, if I'm saying that right, Woodlean is asking, do you use the client software systems or do you have your own? So are you using, how many different softwares are you using?
4.
4 different systems.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
do. I use 4.
all of your clients kept their existing systems.
Yes, everybody has kept their existing systems. There's only one that I dislike, and I'm trying to urge her to switch. But yeah, I just learned the software. Once you know,
Which one
once
is
you
it you
know,
don't like?
therapy appointment.
Therapy appointment. I haven't heard of that one. There's so many out
Yeah, there's so
But
many out there.
there.
you know what makes the difference? Whether you're using, I mean, obviously there is an advantage to using the iClaim platform. But what really makes the difference is what you do as the individual. Because if doctors have their own billers in-house, they're not chasing down those denials as you mentioned earlier, like you are, because your pay is contingent upon making sure that you get all the money for the doctor.
You're absolutely right. And that's a selling point. And I often say that when I'm presenting a proposal.
I bet you
Yeah,
do.
how tough what it is. And yeah,
Did the doctors ever get offended by saying that?
no, they don't get
Yeah,
it.
they
They
know.
understand. They would agree. They'd be like,
Yeah,
yes, they agree.
they know that their biller probably
Yeah.
in-house is not doing everything.
Yeah. And it's just the turnover. That's the biggest thing, the turnover and the retraining. So for me, that's a big selling point when I do speak with a provider. You just don't have to deal with the headache. You have someone consistent, professional, be able to follow up timely, provide a report. It's all about how to present in a manner that's going to ease the responsibilities of the provider.
Yeah,
So
you
I really
bet.
try to push that point.
Yeah, we get a lot of comments from people that are like, oh, well, I'm just a salesperson for you guys. I'm just selling your software to doctors. And I'm like, that's not what this is all about at all. I mean, we teach you how to position yourself as an expert, a revenue cycle consultant, and we help you get doctors to the finish line. It doesn't matter what software they're using.
Right.
So did you have trouble learning those systems, or was it did they all kind of have e-learning that you could go and look at videos? Like how hard was it to kind of figure them out?
No, it's not hard at all. They all have support systems. And if I'm actually implementing a billing system for a new practice, I'm usually part of the onboarding team, which makes it a lot easier because you have direct contact with a project manager. But it's not hard at all. Again, if you're not familiar with medical billing, once you have your first client and you understand the steps of medical billing, I mean, you follow those steps with any software.
Right,
Yeah.
right. The bells and whistles are different, but the basics are the same. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what to look for.
Yeah, and our support team is familiar with the top 10 providers or software systems. So we can help to an extent, kind of navigate those other systems. Yeah, and I mean, we feel like our systems that we promote really do help improve the numbers, rejection rates, lower denials and stuff. But if they just don't want to switch, they're not in a position to do that, because I know that it's a huge deal for doctors to switch, and they're just like, no, I ain't doing it. So that's fine. If they don't want to switch, like you said, tell them, I'll just jump in there, I'll learn your system, and I'll still be able to do a better job than what you guys are doing. And that's exactly what you've done. So that's awesome. Kind of going back to the networking, Salim was asking, do you have a package ready to take to networking events? Or can someone help you put one together? Yeah, we actually have presentation folders and flyers, like LaKishia was saying, that you probably use some of that stuff going to network.
Yeah, I actually too, Salim. actually had a launching party where I invited. This could have been y'all's idea. Where I invited all my family, close friends, family, and it was at a restaurant. And I had all the nice material out on the table, folders, flyers, and that was my way of introducing what I did to my family and friends. And then I follow up with the letter, just
Oh,
letting them know this is what we do, this is what I do now, et cetera, et cetera. So yes.
oh, that's very cool. Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to
Yep.
get your friends and family to understand what you're doing, and that it's a
Yeah.
real thing with real
Yes.
marketing materials, and
Yes.
and maybe they can get the word out for you.
Yes. That was the whole goal. Yes.
Mai is asking, have you ever tried running ads on social media? Do you any social media marketing much, or?
Social media is not my niche.
Yeah, I mean,
It's too much for me. Yeah. Yeah, I don't, but I don't actively market it. All my business, my referrals is from word of mouth.
okay.
But I'm not opposed to it. I know it's effective. For a lot of business owners, I just have not taken that step yet.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's we did a webinar a couple weeks ago on lead magnets. I don't know if you were on that webinar, but basically we talked about 4 specialties that are very easy to land. Behavioral health is one of them. There's a couple others, but we developed these lead magnets, which are ebooks that you can use as a marketing tool. And so on social media, you could promote these ebooks as, hey, if you're in one of these 4 specialties and you want to learn about, improving your revenue cycle, click here to download this thing and blah, 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 blah. And so we go through this whole thing of how to get that set up. And that's been getting some really good feedback. So if you need help setting that up, we'd be happy to do that for you. But yeah.
And your professional sites are going to be your better ones, like your LinkedIn sites, social media sites like that. There's some others that are out there, but yeah.
But you got to make sure that you're not just regurgitating, here's what I can do. Here's what I can do. Here's what I can do. They don't want to see that. You want to say, here is a tool that you can use, whether you work with me or not, that's going to help you. That's what you want to offer. And so a lot of people don't get that. And I'm the same way with social media. I'm terrible with it. I have some robots that are doing some of that stuff for me. So
good idea.
What do we got here? I wanted to get to some of these questions. We got a lot of questions in here.
Jawdjee's asking, do you need a license for this medical billing, like an NPI or a tax ID, to get started up? Now, you didn't, other than your certification?
Yeah, I mean, you set up an entity, right? Did you do it like an LLC? Yeah. What else did you need from that standpoint?
Tax ID. So the great thing about ABS, they take you step by step. Do this first. Get your address set up, your name, your logo, obviously your business structure, and then they give you a website. So again, it's back to the system. Like, it gave you tools to step out with your business, and it's things that you didn't have to wonder or think about or go to search all these different sites. It kind of gave you a step by step. So yes, I did all those things. I just followed what Cynthia told me to do.
Yeah, I mean, sites like LegalZoom, they can just walk you through step by step and stuff like that. It's pretty simple. But you will, of course, have some small fees for setting up the LLC and all that kind of stuff. So you need to plan on that, but nothing crazy. Kathy did make a comment about BNI. She says, I visited my local BNI for the first time yesterday. I can visit twice before joining. To join my local chapter, it's $1,300 a year. But she does say, I was very impressed and I plan on joining. So I guess maybe it does vary regionally. It might be different prices.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are.
Okay.
I
think you, Christine, you're probably reading the first one, but Christine, underneath that, you already answered about, are you doing the billing yourself or did you hire billers? And if so, are they US based or other countries? But again, to reiterate, LaKishia, you're doing all of your own billing at this point, correct?
I'm doing all my own billing at this point, yes.
Okay. Do you have to pay anything to software companies? I guess not, because you're using all the doctors' software companies, so they're paying for the software. But even if you were to use one of our software partners, we teach you how you can you can either have the doctor's contract directly with the partner, or you can be the license holder of the software, but you can build that into your percentage that you charge the doctors. So essentially it's like they're covering that anyway, you know. So we can show you how to do that, but you don't have any software fees at the moment, right?
No, no software fees.
All right. Woodline is asking, is DME billing lucrative? I don't think you said you're doing DME billing. So
Oh,
it
Jimmy.
can be lucrative, yes, but she's not doing that right now.
And Adam, I would say that's how ABS got started, wasn't it? Your mom was
Oh
doing
yeah,
DME.
yeah, that's a good
So I
point.
would say it's lucrative.
Yeah, so it was in the 80s, and my parents actually were friends with a couple who owned a DME company, and my mom was doing transcription on a typewriter for doctors, and that's how long we've been doing this. And just one day they were out at dinner, and he said, "Hey, have you ever done, medical billing?" She said, "No, but I could probably learn." And he said, "Okay, I'll show you how to do it." And so she was literally putting these claim forms into a typewriter and typing in the claim forms. That's how long we've been doing this. So yeah, and it was a DME company. So anyway, that's how they got started. Malay is asking, did you try using any medical reps, device reps? And if you did, how did you pay them? You never had any sales reps or anything like that, no?
No sales reps. Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you were to want to maybe try to work with them, you could also go to, I believe you could go to places like maybe Fiverr, but also Upwork is another one. Upwork.
Upwork is another one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was going to say the interview that we did a few weeks
Mhm.
back with Aaliyah Khan, she actually still has a full-time job with 4 clients now, which by the
Okay.
way, she's about to close a deal on a client that has 17 doctors. But so she's going to have to hire more, but she hired
Yeah.
right away, she hired on Upwork, she hired a guy to do the billing, or a team of a few
Nice.
people. So she's not doing any of the billing herself. So everybody runs their company differently.
Different. Mm-hmm.
That's perfectly fine. Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
James is asking if he might be able to connect with you. So James, get back with your ABS sales rep, and we could work with you on getting maybe a phone number or email for LaKishia, if you're okay with that, LaKishia, to just to do a reference
Mm-hmm.
call.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just don't take up too much of her time. She's a busy lady. What else?
So LaKishia, just before you goes into some more of those, I have got a quick question. What are you doing now? Or since you got 4 clients right now, and are you looking to expand yourself? Are you still doing your networking?
Yes, good question. So between credentialing and medical billing, it has me pretty busy enough.
Sure.
Like I stated, I probably have room. My goal is to add on a billing client every quarter.
Oh, good for you.
I've kind of just began, not just, but over the last year or so, kind of build my credentialing side of the business, which I really, really enjoy. So yeah, that's my goal. A new credentialing client every 2 to 3 months, and a new billing client at least once a month. And hopefully by the end of the year, I'll be at a point to hire another part-time person to assist with billing. But I
Good.
come from a leadership role, so I mean, I'm enjoying not having any direct reports, or I'm enjoying this. So
I
it's
bet
just
you are.
that's a headache sometimes to
Full-time
have.
employees are great, but they can
Oh
be
my
a headache too
gosh.
as well, for
Yeah, yeah,
sure.
yeah. So yeah.
All right. So Sherry is an ABS licensee. Hi, Sherry. And she has said, there's something I wanted to touch on. I have 4 clients and they are stuck on their own systems. How do you sway them? I would love to be able to offer the various services through ABS. Well, like we just discussed, it's if the doctors don't seem to be unhappy with their systems and, are not really feeling like there's a need to switch, that's a tough sell. That's a tough sell. I mean, do you have any opinion, LaKishia, on ideas to maybe sway the doctors to change?
Um, I mean, for me in my business, my mission is to truly to ease the load of the practitioner. So although yes, it may make my job easier if you had another system, the practitioner in their role and the ease of their day trumps priority for me. So
Yeah.
if I do got to do a little extra work on the back end to make sure that they are a happy client and their day is easier and their load is lightened, for me, I'm willing to do the extra work on the back end. But it's very hard because most people don't like change, and you not only have to train that provider, you have to train the whole entire office, and it can be a heavy load. You just wait for the one time where you know they've kind of hit their max as far as number of providers on that software, and then just outline like, okay, this is what a software could do for you,
Yeah.
and see if you can persuade them that way. But until they can see the benefits based on what they currently have, it's really hard for them to see that.
Yeah, I mean, my only thought would be to show them the bottom line, the numbers. Like if you could
Yeah.
figure out what their current costs are for their current systems, and if you can find that out somehow, and maybe, if they're paying a lot, I mean, who knows? I mean, it's hard to answer, but
But it's usually comes down, sorry to interrupt, Adam, but it really comes down to capabilities, right? Because usually
yeah.
the cheaper softwares has less capability, but as a practice grows and they can see, oh, you have a lot more transparency and capabilities with this system, that's
Right.
kind of where I would probably say, would
Yep.
be a great selling point.
Yep. Angel is asking, do you have any clients outside of your state, and would it be worth it?
Yes, I'll take clients anywhere.
There's
Yeah,
there's no restrictions, there's no territories, so you don't
yeah.
currently have any out of state. You don't?
No, I don't have any billing clients out of state. Yeah, all
Okay.
my billing clients are in state.
What about any clients whatsoever?
I have credentialing clients out of state.
Okay. We
Yeah.
keep talking about credentialing. There might be some people on here that don't have a clue what that is. So why don't you? So we have an ancillary service as part of the ABS package called Credentialing Now. I don't know, one of those. And why don't you tell people what that is and how you kind of like branched off into that?
So credentialing is basically, oh yeah, credentialing is basically verifying, assessing, and validating licensure, education, certification with a payer. It tends to be a very long process, anywhere from 60 to 120 days. And each provider have to be credentialed along with their practice for each payer in their respective states. So I got into credentialing because Jay, she's a wonderful, wonderful person, answered
Another
my
licensee.
calls.
Yeah, ABS licensee, Jade.
Yes, Jade is another ABS licensee that I hounded probably for about 3 months for her to train me, take me under her wing. And 3 months later, she said, "Okay, I'll give this a try." So I worked with Jade for a year, and I basically mentored me, and we credential clients all over the country. And so, yes, so through that experience, I definitely would now call myself an expert in credentialing. I've been able to take on clients in multiple states because I've experienced with multiple states. So I worked with Jade for probably about a year and a half. And I don't think we mentioned it, but that was a big bulk of my time. I worked with her probably 30 to 40 hours on top of trying to build my medical billing business, and where she was mentoring and training me. So wonderful experience, and gained a lot of information, very indebted to her, and her taking a chance to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so you are now officially one of our credentialing partners.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So when other business owners, if anyone on this webinar runs across an opportunity for credentialing, we could connect with you, and you could get some business, and they could get the work done. And
Yes.
so essentially, they would just be able to kind of mark up what you charge and make a little bit of money on the top. And that's the next question that a couple people have asked is on the credentialing side, what fees do you charge? Paul is asking, is it by insurance payer or group of payers, or how does that work?
So both. So for myself, I have tiers. I have 3 different tiers, and those tiers go from anywhere from 5 to 15,000. But I also have an option to charge per payer, and this for companies that are smaller or just need to get 1 or 2 providers credential. I will also do per payer, and that varies anywhere from 250 to 350 a payer. Constant contact with me. I try to make myself very available. You call, you usually get me. If not, I'm calling back within 10 to 15 minutes. So, but yeah, I do both. So we do the big groups, the big contracts, but I also will do single payers as well.
And Kathy was asking, how much time does credentialing take for you? I guess walk us through like a practice and how long one practice would take.
Yeah. So credentialing will take 90 to 120 days. Once you submit applications, for my practice, we call every 7 to 10 days. We make sure that the contract is and the application is in process. There's no hiccups, there's no obstacles. And if there is, we do what we need to do to make sure that application is back in process. It is a little tedious. You do have to call often and you spend a lot of time on the phone. Hence, that's why I have a part-time person working with me with credentialing. But that skill set kind of matches my skill set as far as like I'm a person like a dog with a bone. I'm gonna get to the bottom, figure out what the problem is so we can make sure that we can get that person, that provider credentialed timely.
Have you ever had the opportunity to share about your billing side with anybody that you're doing credentialing with? Yeah.
So,
Okay. Good.
yeah. So I've had a couple of credentialing clients or vice versa. I had a billing clients. I think it's more vice versa. Where I had billing clients that
Sure.
switched over to credentialing clients. Long term, obviously, as they grew their practice, adding provider. Remember, every provider has to be credentialed.
Yes.
We were able to build her in a contract and to meet her needs. That happened a couple of times. Yes.
You bet.
And actually, I did my second client. I was originally a credential client, and I clearly I didn't do a good job telling this person that I also did medical billing because she was telling me her need, and I was like, I'm a medical biller, and she was like, I didn't know that. I was like, well, that's sad. Like I got to do a
Yes.
better job of marketing.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah. So I was able to. She started off as a credentialing client, and I was able to transition her to a billing
That's
client.
awesome.
Awesome. Well, we almost ran out of time here. We filled up that hour pretty quick.
It went by fast. I was about to say we got 5 minutes left.
Yeah, a couple people were asking to connect with you. So like I said before, just get back to the person that invited you to this webinar and request a reference list. And LaKishia is actually on that reference list, so we can give you that contact info. A couple of people joined late and they were asking just kind of like total, how many clients do you have? And so you have 4 billing clients, but 4 doesn't mean 4 doctors. I mean, you have more. You have a multi-doctor practices and all kinds of stuff. And then so you've got that, and then you've also got several credentialing clients. How many credentialing clients right now are you working?
Currently have 8 credentialing clients. I had 2 contracts that recently expired, so 8 total right now.
Okay, cool. And you said some of those are out-of-state doctors.
Ohio, California, Florida.
Very, very cool. Yeah, Tashikwa was saying that she is in revenue cycle and was excited to look at this business and was wanting to contact and chat with you. She also asked, I work on government contracts. Have you tried obtaining contracts on a government level?
It's so funny. I've definitely been mulling that over the last week because there's a lot over the last month, because I actually went to the website and there's a lot of unawarded contracts for credentialing specifically. I did look for medical billing, so that may be my next step as far as the next quarter goals. But thanks for bringing that up. Thank you.
I mean, I heard there's a ton of red tape, but they can be very lucrative if you do it right. Rebecca says, LaKishia is great, very responsive.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Some people were asking for your contact info. Yes, Malay, we can get that to you. Juanita was saying something about, I was talking about some previous webinars that we did. It was called the 4 specialties that you should be focusing on. And that is listed on the support site. So for those of you who are not ABS owners, when you become one, you get access to our private support site. You get a login to that. And all of our previous webinars that we do every month are posted and hosted on that site. So you can rewatch them. There's all kinds of downloads related to those webinars. Lots of good stuff to help you build your business. So LaKishia, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it. We've got a couple of slides to close out here, but it's been great. It's been great. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I just want to put a plug in for the support team, because with this this opportunity, you can go any avenue. I mean, the industry is big. Again, they give you a system, and you really can move into whatever area that best fits you. And the support is wonderful, because it could not even be related to medical billing, and I still hound them, and they at least try to give me direction. So I really appreciate that. So thank you guys very much.
You're very welcome. I'll pass on the kind words, and I'll send them some gold stars from you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, LaKishia.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
LaKishia. Thanks.